we have with us the Nissan Livina. Let's check it out. The Nissan Livina was launched in the Philippines in 2022 and is the brand's latest entry into the popular compact 7-seater MPV segment. Based on the pre-facelift Mitsubishi Expander, it might have come a bit too late, especially with newer competition arriving even before it, but we think that it does actually make sense. This one here is the mid-grade 1.5 VE variant and it's priced at 1,149,000 Philippine pesos. Of course, being based on the Expander, this looks very similar to it. But Nissan was able to do a great job putting its own design language here. The Livina features a sleek and more elegant looking front fascia, highlighted by Nissan's V-Motion grille and thin LED daytime running lights. Like the Expander, the headlights are separate. They're halogen only, by the way. This also has halogen fog lights. Since this is the VE, the lower portion of the bumper is finished in black. If you haven't watched our first look of the top spec VL, be sure to check it out. On the side, it's pretty much Expander except for the wheels, which get their own unique design. They are still 16 inches in diameter and are wrapped in Bridgestone Ecopia tires. Over at the back, the Livina, despite still looking very Expander, gets its own identity. The LED taillight clusters are redesigned here with a sharper design, looking like what we would see in the Nissan X-Trail and Kicks. We also now have a black garnish between the taillights and the windshield, as well as a sportier bumper design. Opening the tailgate, it reveals space enough for 2 to 3 small pieces of luggage with the third row seats up. Once you fold them down, space expands by more than double, beating even larger SUVs like the Montero Sport and Toyota Fortuner. And now we're inside the Nissan Livina VE, and as you can see here, just like the previous Livina VL I showed you, it's exactly the same except for a few things, and honestly this one is better in my opinion. So first, you can see that the color scheme is different. We have brown, we have the same black, but again, yeah, two-tone brown and black. Also for the seat, it's brown in the seat, it's brown on the armrest for the door panels, and everything else is the same, such as the material. So on the dashboard, we have hard touch plastic, so everything is hard touch. There are no soft touch plastics here at all. No soft touch leather, no soft touch, everything is hard. So even here in the door panel, there we go, everything is hard, including the armrest. And also, we don't have an armrest here in the middle, so we have a hard cover over here, which I'll just get to in a bit. And then all these plastics actually feel really solid, so that's a really good thing. But there are a couple things here that I noticed, such as here in the steering column, where it's actually a bit misaligned. So that's very noticeable. I don't know if that's specific to this unit, but I heard that some Mitsubishi Expanders also have that. But anyway, moving on, here in the steering wheel, we still have the same steering wheel as the VL, but it's only wrapped in polyurethane, so we no longer have the leather steering wheel. And also, it's the same one that we find in the old Expander and the Mitsubishi Mirage G4 and Mirage. So the horn, just a normal old Mitsubishi horn, so it sounds pretty okay, but it's pretty loud as well. Then we have here also our audio controls. No cruise controls, unfortunately. All variants don't have that, and at least this steering wheel is tilt and telescopic, so I really appreciate that. That's really good. And then moving on to the instrument cluster, we have a downgraded instrument cluster for this variant, but it still looks very nice. So the gauges, the RPM gauge, the tachometer, and the speedometer are the same as what you'd get in the higher variants, but it's still very easy to read. I really like how it looks. And then in the middle, we have a small screen which displays our trip information. Then moving on here to the center, we have our 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system. It's aftermarket, so it's not made by Nissan. It's made by Blaupunkt, according to the manual I found over here. Anyway, it's the same as what you get in other variants as well, except the EL automatic. So this is really not the best, to be honest, but at least it's responsive, so I'll give it that. It's very easy to use as well. It's not hard at all, but also the graphics don't look the best. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It has phone link, which unfortunately, based on my experience, it doesn't work. It works on Android. There's an option for iPhone, but it doesn't work. Then also, the volume is a bit of a hassle to do, and it sounds annoying, the volume sound. There we go. Then also, we have our USB port over there and our auxiliary port on the screen. Then moving down, we have our manual climate control. So this is the same one we find in the Expander, of course. In fact, it even has those tiny Mitsubishi logos. I showed that before in the VL in our first look. Then down here we have some blank switches, but at least we do have the recirculation button right in the middle. Then of course, what I really like about this is storage, because down here we have loads of storage. We have one here for your phone, so let's just put that there. Fits really nicely. We have another larger storage underneath. We can put our wallet over there, and then of course, another storage underneath that where we can actually hide some our RFID cards or even some cash. So this was given to me right now. I'm rich now. Then moving on, we also have here a single USB port and a 12-volt power outlet. Then down here, our gear shifter, which is the exact same one also in the expander. And it's actually pretty nice because it's really soft, doesn't feel too cheap. It's really nice. And also surrounding that is some piano black plastic. Then here, our really large parking brake. So it's really big, really big. Then over here, 2 cup holders and this center console storage over here, which I'm not a fan of this cover. In fact, the first time I opened it actually got removed, so it goes all the way down to the back. So that's really bad. But anyway, moving on to the seats. These are the same seats as well that you'd find in the Mitsubishi Expander, and they're really nice actually. They're a bit flat, but they do their job really nicely. And the material on them, the fabric material, is also really nice. I really like it. It's the same material as what we got in the Expander, and it's nice to see that it's also over here. Also, before we go to the back, lastly, we have another large storage area over here on the dashboard, which we can also put our phone there or maybe our face mask there. A really nice place to put it. Then under the seat, we also have a drawer where you can hide some shoes or some secret stuff. So now we're at the second row of the Expander, and this is really where it shines because we have loads of space, both in terms of legroom, headroom. As you can see, that's a lot. Again, the legroom, knee room is really excellent. Then also, we have lots of storage here, although there is really nothing much to talk about. So going back to the storage, you can see here that we have this pocket here. We can put a small tablet. We can also put our phone up here, right there. That's really nice. Then of course, we have our usual pockets behind the front seats. And then of course, being an MPV, we have our usual air vents up here. So we have 4, and then our control for that as well. And then the seat material is the same as what we have in front, and it's actually a bit more comfortable back here. And I must say that these seats are actually quite soft, which I really like. And then right here in the middle, we have this center armrest. Unfortunately, there are no cup holders, but as far as I know, in the Mitsubishi Expander there are. So hopefully we can see those here in the future. But anyway, despite not having cup holders there, we do have 2 on each door, so we still have 4 in this second row. As the materials here as well are the same as what we get in front. So now let's check out the third row. Now we're in the third row of the Livina, and of course every variant has the same third row, and there's really nothing here as usual. And of course, space here is a bit limited right now, so I'm 5 feet and 7 inches. My knees are touching the seat in front, and my legs don't really have much space to move, but at least there is a lot of footroom, so I really appreciate that. That's what's important. Despite having a third row, at least we have lots of footroom. Then we can of course fit 2 people of my size here really well in terms of width, and of course children will be best here. And also we can move the seat forward, so please move the seat forward for me. There we go. So with the second row seat forward, I do have lots of space, so I have a decent amount of leg room, knee room, pretty good. Then of course headroom, I forgot to mention, it's pretty good as well. So my head's not touching the ceiling, but maybe if I wasn't wearing this cap, my hair would probably be touching, but right now it's actually okay. Then we also have 2 cup holders here in the back, some storage, and more storage up here so we can put our phone up here. Then also a 12-volt power outlet there on that side. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the interior of the Livina. Let's take it out on a test drive. Now we're driving the Nissan Livina, and I've driven this before. I've showed it to you before, one of my first videos here in AutoPH, and yeah, it really drives like a Mitsubishi Expander. So first, this is powered by the Expander's 1.5 liter Myvec naturally aspirated gas engine that produces 105 horsepower and 141 Newton meters of torque paired to a 4-speed automatic transmission. And when it comes to acceleration and, well, the overall experience again is really like the Expander. So acceleration is actually surprisingly really good because that 4-speed automatic transmission actually makes this vehicle feel a lot torquier. It puts the torque a lot earlier than in a CVT, but I would still prefer a CVT for a smoother driving experience. Now you'd think that power output and torque output from this engine is not enough, but it's actually pretty good enough for the city. So again, while driving here in the city, it's actually pretty good. So you won't feel that the engine is underpowered, you won't feel that you're lacking, you won't feel that you need more. But at the same time, once you get on the highway, or if you load this with passengers, that's when it feels a bit heavier, obviously. But still, given that most 7-seater MPVs have this kind of engines with similar outputs still matches the competition. Of course, a little bit more power and a little bit more torque, similar to what we'd get in the Honda BR-V, would be very much appreciated. When overtaking, that is when you will find the need for more power, that's for sure. Then when it comes to steering and handling, it's pretty much what you'd expect from these affordable 7-seater MPVs. So we have really light steering, so there are actually times that it feels too light, but for driving again in the city, it's really good. When driving on the highway, it does tighten up a bit, but not enough for my taste. As for handling, it's what you'd expect from a 7-seater MPV. So body roll is there. It doesn't handle as well as we'd expect, but of course, this is a family vehicle, so you don't enjoy this in twisties. You don't push this to its limit. It's just for chill driving. It's for relaxed driving with your family. As for ride quality, of course, it's pretty good because this is an MPV. That's what you buy these for. You buy these so that you can have a comfortable ride for your entire family. And that is the case here in the Livina. So it absorbs bumps pretty well. We're currently driving on EDSA, so of course it's a very bumpy road, and it does a very good job of absorbing everything that we have to go through. Then when it comes to NVH insulation, there is some need for improvement because when it comes to road noise, it's decent. So for an affordable price, we expect that already. But there are some things that are already rattling, specifically here in the steering column, which is a bit too early for a car that barely has 2,000 kilometers. So this has less than 2,000 kilometers on its odometer, and there's already something rattling inside the steering column. But everything else is pretty good. So the vibrations, you can hardly feel any. And of course, again, the ride quality is pretty good. And also, you hardly hear the engine when driving regularly. Overall, the Nissan Livina will not wow you just like any other MPV, but it still provides what it's supposed to provide to us. And still, it's really good in that regard. As for fuel economy, the Livina, of course, does really good because the expander does really good. So this can do as much as 11 kilometers per liter, even more inside the city. And then on the highway, it can go to as high as around 20 kilometers per liter, which is not bad at all. So to end this review, we answered the big question: does the Nissan Livina actually make sense? Because that's a question that everyone wants to know. And I think it actually does if this came out a bit earlier, because it's actually pretty late in the game. The expander came out in 2018. This one came out just this year, 2022. It has its perks. So first, of course, we have the better warranty at 5 years. Then we have the looks, which are subjective. So I personally really like how this looks on the outside. And then of course, there are some people who will prefer the Nissan brand, but there are definitely other better options out there. The competition is very competitive, but you definitely can't go wrong with the Nissan Livina.